Hey there, friends. And here's another episode of I Need Friends, a podcast about whatever. Today we're going to be talking about movies I hate that everyone else loves. And I don't understand why they're so well loved. Really popular movies that I just either can't get into or just full on passionately hate. I really like TV shows, movies, and I love critiques of them and, critiquing them myself and in my vast expertise, which is non existent, by the way. Um, I just like to, I enjoy criticizing things in like the sense of like in a constructive way, like, oh, this would have been better if they did it this way, or changing this might have had this happen. And like, to be fair, like I like my writing to be, critiqued and broken down as well. Like if I'm sending, a friend something that I wrote, I don't want them to just be like, oh yeah, that's good, I like it. I want to know what they didn't like, what they would change about it, what they think could make it better or different, or if something I was saying was confusing or not creating the image I wanted to create. Like I enjoy that part of it almost just as much as I do watching the actual shows and movies or actually writing something myself. I love the kind of exploration and seeing like what could be different and what could change. So I'm not just like a full on hater, even though I do hate a lot of things. There's still very many things that I appreciate. So let's kick it off here. I don't want to keep you hanging on the edge of your seat, just dying to know if you're going to hate me when I finish telling you these movies I hate. I've narrowed the list down to 5. There were a lot more, but we're sticking with 5. Okay. The first one is Titanic. I don't like that movie. I don't like it. I know people love it. And, I was like, I think under 10 when it came out, and it was still really popular as a teenager. And of course, all the lines from it. I just don't, I don't really care about romance stories. Like people fall in love all the time. So like, why should I give a shit about these two people falling in love? And like, the fact that it was happening on the Titanic didn't really make it any more exciting for me. I didn't feel any more invested in them and what was going to happen. I thought a lot of it was corny. I'm flying, Jack. Okay. All right. That's cool. You're on the edge of the ship and he's, oh, what an amazing moment. I'm sorry. I've done that before, and it's on a cruise ship and it's cool, but it's like, I don't know. It's not that exciting. You don't feel like you're flying, by the way, at all. Not that I need to focus on that one particular part. I mean, they did it's not like the movie was bad. Like, obviously they did a really good job putting everything together, and they put a lot of effort into building the stages and making sure they were getting certain information right. And not that they got all of it right, I don't think, but so it's not that they did poorly in making the movie. I don't like it. I don't get all the hype, and it's too long. Oh, that movie is just way too long. It's just 2 VHSs when that thing came out. Calm down. Calm down. Just give me one. If you can't make a movie in less than 3 hours, like maybe you just shouldn't be making movies. Like if you can't figure out how to tell me a full story in that amount of time, like then maybe work on your story some. Because let me tell you, every movie that I've seen that has been almost 3 hours or more than 3 hours had plenty of things that just could have been taken out that wouldn't have taken away from the story. It just, stop with the long movies. Oh, but what about Avengers Endgame? That movie was 3 hours. No, we're not getting into Marvel today. Don't get me started on that one. I could really get people mad at me with that. So yeah, just, overall, it's just like boring. I mean, we got that banger from Celine Dion. Every night in my dreams, I mean, come on. That shit is incredible. It's probably why I started playing the flute as soon as I started band. I could probably play it on the flute now if I found my flute covered in dust in my closet or something and then learned how to finger the notes again. But that's all. We could figure all that out. Moving on. This next movie, I really, really wanted to love. It came out in the 90s and late 90s, maybe early 2000s. Pretty sure late 90s. And I had always heard of it and never seen it until a couple years ago. And I just had really high expectations for it. And it was a big letdown. The Devil's Advocate. What was going on here? This story had so much potential. I mean, the very opening scene was like, it was already a little over the top, with the acting and what the characters were doing. It was a little strange, but I liked the setup for it. I thought it was going in a really cool direction, and then it just didn't. It just got like messy and kind of convoluted, and it was strangely like predictable, but at the same time you're like, what? If that makes any sense. That's just kind of how I felt. And Keanu Reeves, forgive me for saying this because I know he has a huge fan base and I like Keanu Reeves, but he did terrible in this movie. Seriously, how did he get another acting role after this? It was so bad. I mean, it wasn't even entirely his fault because even Al Pacino, had trouble with some of his lines because the dialogue just wasn't great. Like, that's on the writer. Like, even like the best actor cannot make the worst dialogue sound good. And I don't know, Keanu just like really, really dropped the ball. I think I couldn't really get into any of the scenes. Maybe I would have enjoyed the movie better had he acted better and been more believable as a character, but no, I was just so disappointed. Like by the end of the movie, I just felt like let down. That's the best way I can describe it. It's just disappointed. It should have been something really good. Like I'm not into remakes. We got all these remakes coming out now, and it's just like, okay, are we doing that again? Oh, we're doing that again. We're doing that again. Okay, but I would like to see a remake of this, of The Devil's Advocate. I think someone could do it much better. Maybe it was just a little before its time. I don't know, but we certainly need a redo on that one. Someone can make that happen for me. I'd appreciate it. Up next, we have Frozen. Oh my gosh, my computer is making all these noises. Stop beeping at me. Anyway, up next we have Frozen, which some say this might not count because it's a kids movie. Can you put like a kids movie? Well, a lot of adults love this movie. And my daughter was like 2 or 3 when it came out, so I've been tormented by it for years. One of my friends even got me the Frozen soundtrack, or got my daughter the Frozen soundtrack, and so I had to listen to Let It Go like so many times. And Idina Menzel, she's no Celine. She's just not. She has a strong, powerful voice. I don't like the way it sounds. It's like nails on a chalkboard to me. It's just kind of nasally. It's not my style. She's good at what she does. It's just not for me. And I don't understand the mass appeal. And also this story is it's a terrible setup. Like, what the hell is going on here? You have this little girl who's like, oh my God, I'm shooting like snow out of my hands and shit, and I can't control it. And the parents are like, oh God, well, the trolls didn't tell us what to do, so I guess we'll just like shut you in your room and then go die in the sea, and you'll just stay in your room forever and then come out and rule the kingdom. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So then Anna, the sister, when she finally starts seeing people and like meets this dude. She's like, oh my God, I love you. Let's get married because we like sandwiches. And she goes to tell Elsa, and Elsa's like, I don't think so. I've been in my room for like 2 decades and I know everything about relationships. And you can't do that. And Anna's like, I don't care. I'm doing it anyway. And Elsa's like, no, this is the worst thing ever in the world. I'm just going to leave everybody, turn all the shit to snow, and then when my sister comes to save me, I'm going to try to kill her with the giant snow monster that I've conjured. Really? Really, Disney? Really, all y'all that love this movie? Ugh. It just frustrates me every time I watch it, and I've been subjected to it many times. I think it might be a form of abuse. Kind of concerned that maybe it's a form of abuse. We'll see. I'm going to look it up. I'll let you guys know. It's forming like some kind of psychological damage every time I have to hear Let It Go again for years now. I actually haven't had to listen to it in a while. That's a bit of an exaggeration. But yeah, I don't really like the songs. Olaf was cool. I enjoyed that about the movie, but, that's about it. I don't really enjoy a lot of kids' movies anyway. I just, the cheesy, corny stuff just it's not up my alley. It's just not for me. Let's go to the next one. Yeah. Jerry Maguire. What the fuck happened there? Everyone involved in that should be just embarrassed. They should have walked out the same way that Cruise's character left when he was fired. How did this movie got an Oscar nominee for best screenplay? Really? Best screenplay? This is where you had me at hello? Show me the money. This is where Show Me the Money came from? What an embarrassing scene. He's just sitting in his, show me the money. You look so stupid. And I had like so much anxiety when he's sitting there and the phone's ringing and he's on the phone with Cuba Gooding Jr. and Regina King, who was like the only good thing about the movie. And he's trying to hang on to this one client. All his other lines are ringing so he can keep some other clients when he leaves his job, and he's not picking up the other lines. He just keeps shouting, show me the money, at Cuba Gooding Jr.'s character over the phone. And I'm like, pick up your other lines. He's not worth it, man. And then he leaves and makes that like long, embarrassing speech. You've just typed everything out. Is what you have to say really that important that people need to listen to you this many times? Like, just leave. Just go, get out. I'm like in my living room watching this. I'm uncomfortable. I'm getting so embarrassed, and like no one is even around me except for my boyfriend. I just couldn't. And he really he still loves this movie. And I just so I didn't want to be like dogging it the whole time and like shitting on something that he really likes, like right there while we're watching it. But oh man, I couldn't wait for that movie to end. I just kept, when is this going to be over? And I didn't really see any chemistry between Tom Cruise and Renee Zellweger. It just wasn't really there for me, and like all of a sudden he's just like all into this kid too, just like out of nowhere, her kid, Renee Zellweger's kid. And when he comes to like, get her back, he's giving this long speech and Renee's just like squinting at him from across the living room, and like her mom's sitting there. You're just like, this is so weird and awkward. Like, did the person who wrote this movie, did they just like never see people? Do they not know how humans interact and talk to each other? Because it's not like this. I don't know what happened here. Oscar nominee for best screenplay? It's just This last one, we'll pull out number 5 here. I think is probably gonna upset some people because this might be the most loved movie in America. I'm talking about Forrest Gump. Yep, just take it in, soak it in, process the fact that I hate this movie with every fiber of my being. I don't even know where to begin. I wrote an article about this, about movies I hate, on my Medium a few months ago, and I was looking at that to see if I wanted to use it for my notes or if I wanted to just kind of start fresh. And I was looking at what I had put for Forrest Gump, and I was just like, I don't even know where to begin. I didn't even put any specifics. So I was like, well, I got to get some specifics for the podcast, but it just, I hate this movie. I'm pretty sure that I hate everything about it. I don't think I like anything in this movie. Like, first off, I kind of have a problem with people playing a disabled person, and especially when the disabled person isn't like any disabled people that I know. Like, disabled people have personalities and desires and wants of their own. Like, Forrest Gump was just kind of, there was no depth, there's nothing going on. He just seemed clueless all the time and happy because he had no clue what was happening around him. And I don't know. And then life is like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're going to get. The fuck? You know exactly what it's a box of it's in the name. Box of chocolates. There's going to be chocolates in there. And inside the chocolate is going to be either more chocolate, some variety of nut, or like a fruit or a candy or something. You're not going to like open up the box and bite into like a chocolate covered cockroach. It's not like you're going to pull one out and take a bite and be like, oh, that was a Brussels sprout. No. Some of them even have a map on the thing. What do you mean life is like a box? That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. And he's always saying dumb stuff that other people have told him. Like, no one explains anything to him. They just say dumb things to him. Stupid is as stupid does. What? What does that mean? Stupid is stupid. Like, so everyone that has ever done one stupid thing is stupid? Is that what that means? I don't think that's what that means. I'm not really sure. It just... And then, run, Forrest, run. People are still saying that. People still... That was like, that's so dumb. And they have to put it in twice. They got to do it again. Oh, he's running from him again. Look, it happened again. And some people, like, will argue that this movie is about putting in hard work and achieving anything that you want to achieve. But Forrest didn't do that. He fell like ass backwards into like almost every situation that he was in. He wasn't like practicing his whole life to be good at ping pong. He just happened to be good at ping pong. He wasn't like passionate about like joining the army because he felt so deeply like for the country. He just joined and, oh, I got shot in the buttocks. Oh, did you hear how he said buttocks? That was so funny. This is the best movie ever. Like, it's just, I mean, why are we laughing at this? Like, think about why it's funny to you, and should we all as a society, I don't know. It just wasn't all of it. Look, I can't even pick like one single thing to focus on because like I just hate so much of it. And then like when he's talking to the black woman at the bus stop and he's all like, "Oh yeah, my family used to be in the KKK." Isn't it funny that I don't know what that is and I'm making this woman extremely uncomfortable by talking about how my family hates black people? I don't know any better. Come on. Certainly, America, we can do better than this, than making this one of the most beloved movies in this country. Anyway, that was number 5. I said I was going to limit it to 5. I'm getting myself worked up and I want to keep going, but I'm not going to. And to prove to you that I'm not an absolute total hater, I'm also going to include 5 movies that I love that you'll probably hate. So if you're mad at me for hating any of these movies you love, go check these out. And then when you hate them, you'll feel better that I hate the movies you like. Okay? Let's see. Which one do I want to do first here? Ooh, okay. Because I had to narrow this one down too. Rubber. This is a movie by Quentin Dupieux. It came out like 2010, I think. And this movie is about a tire that murders people. Literally just a tire that is rolling around and is murdering people. A lot of the stuff in this movie happens for no reason. It's a big, like, no reason thing. And it's like one of the strangest, like, meta films I think I've ever seen. And I enjoy the way that they put it together. Like, you're also watching the audience watch this film. And I don't want to tell you how, because like, I just think that's a big part of the movie is finding out what's going on with this group of people. But you end up like you take breaks from the movie almost to visit the audience and kind of check in with them. And it's really cool. And it's just this funny, stupid, I think if you're going to do like over the top, ridiculous humor, you've got to really do it in the right way. And Quentin Dupieux just like, he nails it. I got another movie from him on my list. Cause it's just, I was trying to just pick all different, directors or writers, but he's just so good. This one was called Reality. It came out a few years after Rubber. And this movie's like, it's such a mind fuck. Like, it doesn't really make any sense. Like, at one point, the main character is on a payphone in the middle of the woods. And he's talking to himself somewhere else. And the main premise of this movie is that this guy is trying to make a movie. And he's almost got someone to, pay for production. He's almost got a producer for it. He just needs to like figure out this scream. He's got to get the scream down. The producer's like, if you give me a good scream. So that's what he's working on in this movie. And he goes to the movie theater to go watch a movie, and he ends up seeing his movie on the screen. He's like, this is the movie I wanted to make. And so he's trying to stop the audience from watching it. Like, he's like, no, this movie doesn't exist yet. You can't watch it yet. And there's just so many strange things happening. Like, there's a VHS tape that was inside of a hog. You have Eric Wareheim driving around in some army jeep dressed up in ladies' clothes. John Heater's in it, and he wears a rat costume that's really itchy. Just lots of weird, wild stuff that just, I feel like even if you hate this movie after you watch it, you're just going to be thinking about it for like days, because it's just incredible. It's so much fun, and it's so unlike anything that I've ever seen. It's like, if David Lynch were a little more like optimistic, I guess, maybe if David Lynch were in a person that liked brighter colors, I don't know. But it's kind of, I don't know. It's kind of Lynchian, I guess. Maybe I'm wrong. You can watch it and tell me. And then a really scary one that I like is kind of like disturbing in like a really beautiful way. It's called The Strange Colors of Your Body's Tears. And it's some kind of genre, which of course the name is blanking on me now. But it's really about like horror that has like interesting visual effects. It's a whole kind of like horror aesthetic, basically. And so you have lots of interesting lighting and cinematography and just some really beautiful, incredible shots. And then there's some things that just are happening on the screen that make you so unsettled, but yet you can't look away, and you're so fascinated by what you're watching. And I've had a really hard time trying to find this movie with subtitles because it is French. It was on Netflix for a while, but I haven't been able to find it there. And this was one of those this is one of those movies where, like, I guess the visuals were kind of better than the story. This man comes back home, I think, from a business trip, and his wife is missing, and he's trying to find his wife in his apartment building, and there's all kinds of weird things happening in his apartment building, and so it's kind of following that. And like the story, it gets a little convoluted, I'm not gonna lie, but it was one of those that I had to look up and read about afterwards because there was so much going on that I was like, what was happening there? I got to know more about this. And so I was looking at some of the reviews, and one of the reviewers called it hypnotizing and assaulting. And I was like, yeah, that's the perfect way to describe this movie. It's definitely not for everyone. I think most people that watch it would hate it, but I love it. Totally different from that movie is one that is so terrible, it's terrific. It's Tommy Wiseau wishes he could make movies like this. I don't know if I said his name right. But it's a little movie called The Miami Connection. This came out in the late 80s, and it's about, how do I describe this? Okay, you have all these friends living together. I think there's like 5 of them, 5 or 6. They're all orphans somehow. They all go to the same college. They do taekwondo together, and then they started a band. And the band's name is Dragon Sound. And even if you can't find the movie, you can find some of these videos on YouTube. And I'm telling you, Against the Ninja is going to be your new favorite song. They also have a song about friendship that's quite interesting. But so, there's not good acting. There's not good writing. The fight scenes are so bad. And like the guy that wrote this movie apparently does taekwondo and has been for a long time. So I'm not sure what happened there. But they're doing taekwondo and they're playing in this band, and one of them wants to bang somebody's sister that's in a different group that doesn't like Dragon Sound, and there's something going on at this nightclub where they play at, and there's also these bikers who are just always drinking outside of a bar, and all the biker chicks have their titties out all the time, and then you got these other people who are like selling cocaine, and they're like, hey, I got this new cocaine, it's the best. That's literally a line in the movie. I'm not exaggerating on that one. And like, I think there's also like a motorcycle gang that's not the bikers, and I don't know, everyone wants to fight someone for something. This movie is just insane, and it's a beautiful, beautiful work of art that didn't end up being what it was supposed to be at all, and I couldn't be more grateful for that. Last I checked, this movie was on Amazon Prime, and I highly, highly recommend that you go watch it. And we got one more, number 5, Synecdoche, New York. I don't know if you guys have heard of this movie. Anytime I bring it up to someone, and I thought it was kind of like well known, but I bring it up to someone, they don't know what the hell I'm talking about. It's a Charlie Kaufman movie, so you already know it's going to be like weird as fuck, and have like some meanings to it that you just don't understand until you go try to find an interview where Charlie talks about it. But it was starring Philip Seymour Hoffman, who was like just a brilliant actor, and he was so versatile. Like, he could just as well do comedy as he could do just serious drama. And I just think when an actor is really well known and popular and has been in a lot of stuff, and you still believe that they're their character every single time, just incredible. And Philip Seymour Hoffman does that. He plays the main character in Synecdoche, New York, which Synecdoche is like a play on Synecdoche, I think. I think I'm saying that one right, which is an actual place in New York, and where the movie takes place. And Synecdoche actually means, that's an actual word, that it means like the part represents the whole, basically. So like if you were talking about getting bread when you're talking about getting lunch, like, let's get some bread, because bread is part of food. It can be part of a meal. So you're actually talking about a whole thing, even though you're mentioning something specific. Or maybe a better one is like, oh, I got some new wheels. Like, you got a new car. Like, you're talking about your whole car, but you're using the wheels to represent the whole thing. So that's supposed to kind of give you like an underlying idea of the whole movie. And what's happening in this movie is the main character, which I said was played by Philip Seymour Hoffman. He's trying to make a play, and he gets this MacArthur grant so he can put some money into making a play. He'd been trying to be successful for a while, and he did, I think, Death of a Salesman, and it got him some recognition, which got him the grant. He ends up getting this huge warehouse, and he's pouring everything into this play, and he's trying to make it like real life. And the lines kind of start to get blurred between the play and his real life, and he's really losing himself. And even before he started this play, you know, he and his wife, who's played by the amazing Catherine Keener, weren't very connected. And there's things in this movie that are so real, and there's things that are so surreal. And of course, Charlie Kaufman is really good at achieving that with his writing, but I think I'm pretty sure, I'd have to double check, but I'm pretty sure he also directed this movie as well. And it's just, it's really deep. Like you come away with it and you think you have your meaning of it, but you're like not really sure if you got the right message. But to me, it was about a guy who was focusing too much on the big picture of things, that he was missing all the small important things in his life, that by the time he, you know, gets older and is dying, he realizes that he hasn't focused on any of the little things in his life. I like it, like connections with people and stuff like that. I don't know if that's the correct take, and I think many people watching this will get something different. This is a laborious movie. You really have to be prepared, and this is a long one, maybe a little too long. But you really got to hunker down and be ready to sit and pay attention and probably feel some things you don't really want to feel. I think Charlie Kaufman's really good at oh my. Excuse me. I think Charlie Kaufman's really good at getting you to like a weird place where you're almost comfortably uncomfortable, I guess. That's how I would describe Charlie Kaufman movies. Comfortably uncomfortable. He makes you okay with being uncomfortable. But it's just, I don't know, it's Synecdoche, New York is just so good. Everyone in it is awesome too. You just, I don't know, I feel like you really feel what some of these characters are going through, which is one of the things that makes it difficult to watch, I think, is because you do have to kind of, it's not a happy watch. Like, so, I think that's all I'm going to say about Synecdoche, because I could talk about that for a while, and I think it would just give away too much, maybe. I don't know, because there's so much, like, I've seen that movie, like, and I've read about it a lot, and I don't know. I still don't know if I quite get it, but it's really good. I would love to hear your thoughts. I want to know if you agree with any of these, if you've seen any of the movies that I love that I think you'll hate, and if you loved it or hated it. I'm expecting to get some backlash on hating Forrest Gump. When I wrote about it, people weren't incredibly happy. So tell me how wrong I am. If you want, you can send me an email at ineedfriendspod@gmail.com, or you can find me on Instagram, ineedfriends_pod. Don't forget the underscore. Or on Twitter at a lady human. And I'm going to put those in the episode description as well. I don't know what we have in store for you next time. I got a few things I'm working on. We'll see. But yeah, I think that's gonna do it for today. So, till next time. Bye, friends.